Great, you're here. Tonight is my favorite night of the week. It's pizza night. And what I know about pizza night is every night is different with pizza night because the variety of toppings you could use are endless. But the three things that remain consistent are dough, sauce, and cheese. But even in that regard, there's so many different types of dough and sauces and cheeses that you could use. You could use frozen dough, you could use fresh dough that you got from the store, you could use dough that you made at home. And don't even get me started about cheeses. You could go with a pre-packaged quattro formaggio, like we are, a 4-cheese blend. You could get blocks of cheese and shred it at home and make your own blend. And then sauces, you could use a red sauce, you could use a pesto sauce, you could use a bechamel sauce, you could just use an olive oil blend. So the options are endless when it comes to pizza, but I'm gonna take you through what we're having on our night tonight for pizza night. Now, as I mentioned before, we're gonna use this frozen pizza dough. I've worked with a few different doughs before and I've just found this to be what works for me. A lot of people like to use fresh dough. Trader Joe's makes a couple different brands of fresh dough. You can typically get fresh dough at a Whole Foods or even at a bakery nearby. When you're working with frozen dough and any kind of refrigerated dough, you want to make sure you let it come up to room temperature. It's really hard to work with dough that's still cold. It's impossible if it's frozen, but you really want it to come to room temperature. So I took a ball of frozen dough out of the freezer about 6 hours ago. I covered it with plastic and I put it in this bowl. I covered it with olive oil so that as it came to room temperature, it didn't get dry. And so this is what we're gonna work with. And you can see that it's almost doubled in size. That's a good indication that your dough's ready as well. Now, because we make pizza in our household almost weekly, we do own a pizza stone and we do own a pizza peel. You don't need these items if you're a casual pizza maker, but if you make it regularly, they're really helpful. The pizza stone goes in the oven and heats up as the oven heats up. The other thing to be mindful when you make pizza is you want to get your oven just about as hot as it'll go. At least that's my preference. Some people, I think, let it rest around 450. I get it up as high as it'll go, which on most conventional ovens I believe is about 550, because the hotter it is, the crisper it's gonna get. Now, if you don't have a peel, again, that's fine. You can build your pizza on any pan that you have. I have an old pizza pan right here that I've used in the past, and sometimes I've made a rectangular Sicilian style pizza using this pan. But like I said before, because we make pizza so regularly, we have a peel, we're gonna build our pizza on our peel. And what I typically do is put a combination of dustings on the peel so that the dough doesn't stick to the peel. And what I found is that you need a little bit of a coarser flour than just regular all-purpose flour. I am throwing some whole wheat flour on here right now, but I'm gonna follow that up with some coarser flours, including semolina. Semolina will help this pizza just slide right off this peel and onto the stone, which is what we wanna do. I also sometimes throw in a little cornmeal, because again, that helps create that texture that's gonna help it roll off. And I'm pretty generous when I dust. So now it's time to turn our dough out onto our work surface. And for that, I typically dust the dough as well. It's nice to make sure that you can work with it. Now, I'm not an expert as it comes to working with dough, but again, this is one of the reasons that I really like this dough. I just start pulling the dough out to the sides, gently. It's gonna get heavier and heavier towards the bottom. Some people do this on the actual work surface. I'm gonna go ahead, put my hands in the middle. And I do this not by putting my hands up, but rounding them out like this. And then we just pull gently. got it as big as you want it, or about as big as your peel or your plate is, you can just go ahead and gently lay it down. Now it's time to build, and we'll start with our sauce. Now, if you like a plain pizza, this is about where you're gonna stop. You're gonna go ahead and throw it into the oven for about 10 minutes. I usually start at 8 minutes and then I start to check on it because all ovens are different and it might differ based on the crust you're using, how many toppings you put on, how long you wanna keep it in the oven. Here at this household though, we are always trying to sneak more vegetables into our diet. So we're gonna go ahead and on our pizza, we're gonna put some fire roasted red peppers and some olives, and then I'm gonna sneak on some kale too. With the kale though, we're gonna put that in halfway through so that it doesn't burn, and I'm gonna lightly dress it with some olive oil first. All right, so our oven is now preheated to 550. It does take about 20 minutes for an oven to get up that high, so be mindful of that when you're prepping your pizza. Also be mindful that anything that was left over in your oven, like crumbs that may have fallen down or cheese that have spattered in the past, at 550 it's gonna start burning. So a good rule of thumb is turn your fan on when you're about to open this up, maybe open your windows. There might be a little smoke. It's somewhat normal. So that was 10 minutes for this pizza at 550 degrees. We didn't have a lot of liquidy type toppings on there, like fresh tomatoes or something that's gonna make you wanna maybe keep your pizza in there for a little bit longer. What you do want to do though for sure is always let your pizza rest for 10 minutes. All right, so it's been 10 minutes, so now we'll go ahead and slice it.